business is all about.
I learned so much on this movie. You know, to be able to work so intimately with Oliver, I mean, that alone, you know, just the rehearsal process of making this film was one of the most rewarding experiences I've had in my life. And then shooting this movie, you know, just being able to work in this caliber of talent and just watching these other actors, I mean, it was humbling. And you know, something that I was saying before was that Benicio, he created an underbite.
Yeah.
And he's literally in my face, as you saw in the trailer, and I had no idea. And so I learn even more as I'm watching the movie. You know, there are things that happened in scenes right in front of me every day that I didn't realize at the time. So, you know, this was such a dense experience that there's no way I could walk away and say, oh, well, this is what I learned. I mean, it was really life-changing, just living this for 4 months.
Yeah. You worked out with a SEAL.
I think that he just wants to argue with you about it, and you know, he has this reputation of being a very tough man, and you think that, you know, he's just trying to beat you down in that moment, but you realize he's trying to see if there are holes in your story.
Your theory, yeah.
And if it's flawless, if you can answer every question, he says, perfect, let's do it. And that was something really interesting, a revelation that it's not that he wants to argue or question you, it's just that he wants to know that you really thought about it and that it's truthful. And if you didn't think about it well enough, well, then it's out.
How do you view it? I mean, what's
a movie like this doesn't normally exist amongst that, but you know, I look back to the movies that I love from, you know, from the 70s, and like those movies were the most successful movies. The best movies were the most successful. And now the most successful are the ones that everybody goes to see, but they're not the critically acclaimed ones. So when we made this movie, it is such a graphic, intense, violent, honest film that we knew that we were very much the black sheep. You know, it's not a movie that is appealing to all the masses. You know, it will challenge people, and you know, normally you don't want that because you want people just to pay for your movie, so you don't want to challenge everyone, you want to please them all. And so the fact that this movie can stand up amongst those superpowers, you know, all the other films, that's something that I feel really proud of.
Oliver? So tell me what?
And still
Power, you know, that this is a very male movie, but the two queens are the women, and the men are the pawns, you know, and here they are facing off on either side of the board, you know, and it was a very combative scene initially, and it was just them flexing their muscles to see who was stronger. And you know, we sat down and we talked about it, and you know, we were talking about their backstory so much and what they're lacking and what they want and what they need, and it made perfect sense to us that I need a family. What I need is a mother, and what she needs is a daughter. And here these two people are so lonely and prisoners in their own life, and they're sitting together.
And they know it at the moment.
And
they sort of do, and I
on the first day.
For what?
I looked at well, I'm looking at the movie. There's a it's like music, you know. You ask Blake.
Well, you know, that's, you know, you were talking about seeing the movie at the end. You trust in Oliver that there will be the unexpected. You know, you trust that in his movies, you trust that in working with him, and you trust that in the final product. I never imagined what it would be like on screen, and you know, every version that I thought of wasn't what I saw, and that's the excitement of it, you know. And also there was so much room to change with this movie because of the voiceover. It was something that we did so much work on before we ever shot. While we were shooting, between takes, I would go in trailers and record voiceover and say, okay, let's see if this works, because it fed into scenes that they were about to shoot. And after we saw the movie, I went to a screening with Benicio and Oliver at the very first screening.
Preview.
A preview, yeah, for just, you know, random people in New Jersey. And we sat down after and said, okay, now what? What is the movie missing? What are the questions? Because there's so much that you can solve or take away in the voiceover.